Welcome to Whips in the Dungeon. I'm going to do a little bit of a different segment today. I was at Thunder in the Mountains probably around 2009, many years ago, and I was approached by a couple, and the top or the dominant in the relationship was blind, and his submissive assisted him and helped him move around, and he had one of the white canes as well. But they approached me, and he wanted to learn how to throw a whip. So I thought about it, and that evening in the dungeon we met and actually taught him how to throw a whip, even though he was blind. So you go, is it possible for tops with disabilities to enjoy the kinky lifestyle and enjoy dungeon play? And the simple answer is absolutely yes. They obviously have, depending on the disability, they have some different challenges. But all those challenges are just opportunities to show that when you're kinky and you're creative and you have an active mind, you can engage that mind and satisfy your kinky desires regardless of your disability. So really your disabilities can be looked at as just opportunities. So somebody's going to ask, well, how did I teach a blind man to throw a whip? Well, basically I teach 4 techniques. And the one that I taught him, I'm not going to stand up because the demonstration is with me sitting down today. But the one I taught him was simply the over-the-shoulder technique I teach. I taught him to bring the whip off the shoulder, straight out, and release it with a thumb push. And when he was able to consistently do that, your arm is a given length, the thumb push is consistent. And so then the whip bottom that was working with him would slowly back up until they just felt the kiss of the whip. So the blind person's throwing consistent, and the person on the receiving end is making small adjustments to adjust the sensation to what they enjoy, okay? And the person that had the vision impairment was able to throw their whip. So I'm going to contend that you can with a disability. I've had people in wheelchairs, and I don't own a wheelchair, so we're going to use my recliner as an example of a wheelchair. Most all of them have arms. Sometimes the arm can be raised or not. We're going to pretend that the arm can't be raised on this wheelchair, and I'm going to show you the 4 techniques that I teach in Whips in the Dungeon. Well, obviously the first one is a bow and arrow, and you can do that sitting. So I could be in a wheelchair and do the bow and arrow or the slingshot. You can come over your shoulder. Now the back of the wheelchair might impede. You've got to be aware of where the back of your chair is. I've leaned up a little bit in the chair I'm sitting in, so I'm not having an issue with coming over my shoulder. But certainly with a flogger, you've got handles of the chair, so when you're flogging horizontally, you're just going to make your swing go above the arms of the chair that you're sitting in. That certainly can be done. Forward figure 8, again, you may have to make your figure 8 a little bit wider or keep it out in front of you a little bit more to avoid the arms of the chair. But certainly we did that with a flogger, with the cat. Really no difference with a cat. With a signal whip, because it doesn't have a fall and a cracker to get tangled, A 3-foot signal is probably the ideal width for someone that's limited or challenged by being restricted to a wheelchair. Horizontal works nicely. Forward figure 8. Obviously the bow and arrow is not going to be a problem. That's probably the easiest. Then off the shoulder. All of these work. Dragon tail. This is a 4-foot dragon tail. Dragon tails come in shorter lengths as well. A 3-foot would probably be a little bit easier. Certainly bow and arrow over the shoulder. Horizontal. I think a 3-foot would be a little easier with the arms, but I'm throwing a 4-foot, and I'm convinced out there that anybody in a wheelchair that is a top and interested in doing this could also throw a 4-foot. This isn't just a limited activity for Deck sitting in his recliner. I threw a 3-foot signal. This is a 4-foot signal. You can get an idea. If you add a foot, you're really not adding a whole lot of distance to what you're doing, and it's certainly doable from the sitting position. When we get to snake whips, I've got a 2-foot snake here and a 3-foot snake. The 2-foot snake's about 3 feet total length. So bow and arrow over the shoulder. Horizontal certainly works easily. Forward figure 8, not really a problem. Okay, all these whips. All these short whips work from the sitting position. 3-foot snake. You're looking at probably about 5-foot total length. And all of this can be done. I'm hitting the chair on the forward figure 8. It's brushing the chair on the forehand side anyway. I don't hear it on my backhand side, but it's not really throwing off the travel of the whip. When we get to a bull whip, this is a little 3-foot bull whip. I didn't even bother breaking out a 4-foot bull whip because that's about 6-foot total length, and I think that would be challenging from sitting. But a 3-foot bull whip is about 4.5 foot total length, and it obviously can be thrown from a sitting position. So if you're out there and you're watching my channel and you have a disability and you've been wondering, can I invest in whips for my toy bag? If you're interested in whips, then by all means you certainly can. This is a little 3-foot Mike Murphy. So the answer is disabilities aren't limitations or restrictions. They're just opportunities to apply a brilliant mind and contribute in your own way to your pursuit of leather and kink. So as always, thanks for watching Whips in the Dungeon, and I wish you well on your leather journey. And for those of you that watch Whips in the Dungeon, you might check out my other channel, which I call The Leather Journey. As always, thanks for watching.